In this lesson, I'm going to look at 2-5-1 voicings in the right hand. They'll be playing thirds and sevenths. They're commonly known as guide tones. The left hand will be playing the roots. Please note how smoothly the chords progress with the minimal amount of movement. This isn't just a piano technique, it's also used when you write for instruments in arrangements. So it's a very good way of learning the harmony of a piece of music. Just by playing the guide tones, you can give the character of the chords the movement without playing lots of notes. So I'll demonstrate what I mean. So in a 2-5-1 sequence in C major, we play D, G, C. So over the D minor chord, I'm just going to play the third, which is F, and the seventh, which is a C. And then for G7, I'm going to play G and B, that's the seventh, and the third, and the G and the root. And for C major 7, I'm going to play an E, which is the third, and a seventh, that's the B, over C in the root. So just playing those minimal voicings, you get a sense of the chord. And I've left out some notes. For instance, in this chord, the D minor, I've left out the fifth. Same with the G chord, and same with the C chord. And that's because the fifth doesn't really affect the chord in those type of chords. So in a minor chord, it's the same whether it's a minor chord, and it's the same if it's a major chord. So not having it there, our ear is accepting of the chord without that particular note in it. 2-5-1 into C major 7. If I take this down in tones, my chord 1, which is C major 7, can then become chord 2, so that we can move into the key of B flat major smoothly. So to make this chord minor, I flatten the third to an E flat, and I flatten the seventh from a B to a B flat, so you get C minor 7. Move the top note down a semitone, move the bottom note down a semitone, and there we are at B flat major 7. I'll just do that one again. So we have E flat and B flat in the right hand, C in the left hand, that's chord 2, F in the left hand, E flat and an A on the top, that's the seventh and the third, and then we move the bottom note down a semitone, and we get B flat major 7 with the third and the seventh, and that would go through the keys like this: B flat minor 7, E flat 7, A flat major 7, A flat minor 7, D flat 7, G flat major 7, F sharp minor 7, B7, E major 7, E minor 7, A7, D major 7. Then to get to the other 6 keys, because we've only done 6 going down in tones, we would raise our left hand to an E flat and keep the same notes. Now the reason that works out is because on D major 7, F sharp and C sharp are the third, major third, and the major 7. If we move the left hand to E flat, that note, which was the major third of D, becomes the minor third of E flat, and the top note, which was the major 7th of D, is now the minor 7th of E flat, because we've moved the bass note up a semitone. I'm actually going to go up an octave at this point because it'll sound better. E flat minor 7, A flat 7, D flat major 7, D flat minor 7, G flat 7, C flat major 7, B minor 7, E7, A major 7, A minor 7, D7, G major 7, G minor 7, C7, F major 7, F minor 7, B flat 7, E flat major 7. Once you've mastered all those, you could try it in the inverted shape, or the inverted shape to that. So instead of having the third and the fifth, the third and the seventh on top, now the seventh will be below. So it'll be this kind of shape, which sounds like a perfect fourth. And in this shape, instead of the top notes moving, it's now the bottom note. So the C, which is the 7th of D minor, moves to a B to make G7, and then the top note moves down a semitone to make a C major 7. And then you can take the whole thing down a half step to make C minor 7, but keep the root the same. F7, B flat major 7, and go through all the keys. And then when you've done your 6 keys, then you need to readjust, so you would start on these keys. E flat minor 7, A flat 7, D flat major 7. Once you've got a hang of that, you might find yourself going through the keys and not feeling that you actually know what you're doing. And what I mean by that is if you get to know which hand goes down a semitone and which note moves, you stop thinking about the actual chord but just about the movement. So for example, in this 2-5-1 into C, you might be thinking top note goes down a half step or semitone, then the bottom note goes down a half step, the whole thing goes down a half step, top note down a half step, bottom note down a half step. And it's quite quick for your brain to start thinking of the movement rather than actually knowing what you're playing. That's absolutely fine. You need to start somewhere, so don't give yourself a hard time for doing that. But the minute it becomes very, very easy, you can try challenging yourself. So instead of going down in tones, maybe go up in tones. So that was a 2-5 into C. So in order to get to D, I need to find chord 2, which would be an E. So then I would go. In order to get to the key of E, I'd need to play an F sharp minor chord. So that's a good way to challenge yourself. You could go around a cycle of fifths. You could do many, many sequences. In fact, you could choose what you wanted to do, and that makes it more of a creative exercise. Lastly, you could start thinking about rhythm. Not going to sound great with just guide tones, but at least you'd be challenging yourself. So some of those ideas in vamps in the earlier chapters of my book would give you some ideas, but just offhand I'm thinking that's a kind of bossa nova-ish rhythm. Or you could perhaps do something swingy. So adding a bit of rhythm does make it sound less like an exercise. And of course, the next step would be to apply these guide tones to a tune. For example, Autumn Leaves, you could be going. And so on. So they're quite useful to negotiate your way around a tune if you just want to hear how the changes sound. And that's 2-5-1 voicings, thirds and sevenths, commonly known as the guide tones.